Sakura Fujiwara, mostly known for creating Ghosts and Goblins, had the idea to reimagine his cult classic video game, Sweet Home, released in 1989 based on the film of the same name. An RPG set in a haunted house where you can play as 5 separate characters and fight ghosts, creepy dolls, and zombies. Now, did I play this game? No. But I watched the movie.
Yes, 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 yes!
Sweet Home was a very unique title that introduced a lot of mechanics that would go on to define what horror games would become, with the intention of this new project to eventually see horror games become a genre within the medium itself. Directing duties were handed over to designer Shinji Mikami, who'd only been working at Capcom for 3 years, and worked on such titles as Who Framed Roger Rabbit for the Game Boy, Goof Troop, and a SNES version of Aladdin. Obviously, this was a huge risk to take, but Capcom were willing to try anything as horror wasn't really a genre in video games yet.
Wait a minute. It released in 1992?
Initially starting work and creating the idea of a group of cyborg police officers investigating a haunted house filled with ghosts. But as this version of the game went further and further along, it got more wacky and crazy and was drifting away from the horror vibe the team was going for. This is when Kenichi Iwao stepped in to rewrite the script and give it a more grounded feel. No longer cyborgs, just regular police officers, and removing the ghosts for zombies, pulling from the works of George A. Romero. With the game being made for the PlayStation 1, Capcom also wanted this to be their first 3D game. Mikami initially wanting the game to be played in first person, but eventually going with fixed camera angles with pre-rendered backgrounds. And in March of 1996, video games changed forever.
Did you know it's called Biohazard in Japan?
Now at the beginning of the game, you are able to pick between 2 characters, Jill and Chris. And for this run, I picked Jill due to...
I'm just gonna say reasons, okay?
And overall, no matter who you pick, despite having some differences, they both basically chronicle the same journey through the survival horror experience. Now as the game opens, we get a cool live-action FMV, and I'm just going to show a small snippet of this intro. Remember, this was meant to be very grounded and lean into the horror of everything, so let's see how well they accomplish that. Well, this is a vibe and a half. Honestly, this feels closest to the original Evil Dead, another accidental comedy horror masterpiece that is great. The low-budget, scrappy vibe makes it more endearing than anything. I wonder if these cheesy tones will be reflected in the rest of the game.
What is this?
Wow, what a mansion!
Captain Wesker, where's Chris?
Stop it! Don't open that door! Now, Jill, can you go?
I'm going with you. Chris is our old partner, you know.
This is Barry, and he's my favorite boy.
Oh, Barry!
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
Now, memes aside, I believe this game can still provide an engaging horror experience, and it is mainly through its gameplay mechanics. So as the journey begins, Jill, Barry, and Wesker make it to the Spencer mansion. Chris has gone missing, so the team decides to split up and search for him. From here, Jill, aka you, will methodically scour the mansion, slowly making your way through this puzzle-ridden place and unlock the mysteries behind it. And man, there is something so eerie about going through each door. It just sits in this void and opens slowly, adding more tension as you are unsure what is around the next corner.
It also might be how they load the game, but you did hear that from me!
But now you must face the main threat that will hunt you in this place, the living dead. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dude, it's 2025. The zombie as a concept in video games is overplayed. How can facing a zombie be scary? Well, have you ever heard of tank controls? Many often cite tank controls as the reason why classic Resident Evil is so hard to get into, and yeah, I can understand that. It is a gameplay style from almost 30 years ago, after all. You could say it adds to the horror of the game, having such a strange and obtuse control scheme as an unintended yet horrifying thing to deal with. But honestly, after playing it for a bit, I got pretty used to it. And I'm not blinded by nostalgia, because I was a PS2 kid. Honestly, just understanding that holding up on the D-pad is going to make the character walk forward based on the way they're facing, not the direction the camera is facing. Once I realized this, it made the whole thing feel pretty seamless to me. And hey, if you still struggle with it, that's okay. I'm just a better gamer than you. So overall, no, I don't think the, to be fair, dated tank controls make this game scary. I think it's the inventory and resource management. So let's say you enter a room and are facing 2 to 3 zombies. Go to your inventory screen and it has 8 slots, so you'll need a gun, that's 1 slot, and ammo for said gun, that is another slot. You might want a different healing item, one for health and the other for poisoning. You might want a key to progress through the mansion and another key item to solve a puzzle. Let's say this blue gem or something. So now you have 3 options. You can waste your ammo taking out these zombies, or you can try and avoid the zombies to save your ammo, but take the risk of getting injured and have to use some of your limited health items. Or you could die and realize you haven't saved in an hour and now you have to redo everything. Okay. Maybe I could just bring a second weapon, like a shotgun, and easily take out the zombies, head into the door they were covering and get my reward. But now I have no empty inventory slots, and I can't take the next item to progress, and I'm starting to get stressed out, and Chris only has 6 inventory slots, and how the fuck are you meant to do anything in this game? Man, finding a save room after being moments from death, and being met with this tranquil music, it really feels like I can take a breather for a minute. In these rooms, you can access your item box, which is useful for storing items you don't need at the current moment. And you can save your game at a typewriter, which you need to use an ink ribbon for, which is also a limited resource you need to manage. This game fucking stresses me out, man. Unfortunately, zombies aren't the only enemy you'll deal with, as the Spencer Mansion is filled with many different— Oh, Jesus Christ! Alright, zombie dogs, nothing we can't handle. I wonder what— Oh no! It's fine, no problem. We handled it. Is that a giant snake? It's all good. I killed it. It's fine. Oh God, no! I turned off the water, so now they just flop around. I'm fine, I got this. Along your journey, you will bump into your fellow STARS team members, like Barry, who will often help you out of a difficult situation. Sort of becoming a father figure to Jill, but it feels like he is holding something back and not telling us everything. And then Wesker just seems kind of sus? Maybe it's the glasses, I don't know. But again, the true main character isn't any of the STARS team members, it's the Spencer Mansion itself. At times feeling more like an escape room than a place anyone would actually live. And that is kind of the point. The Spencer Mansion is a secret testing facility for the corporation Umbrella, and they have created all these creatures we've come across to inevitably try and sell them on the black market. But clearly something has gone wrong. We discover secret rooms and an underground lab, even coming across some journals of the employees to get a glimpse of what went wrong.
If you don't know what this means, you're a fake gamer.
Clearly the hubris of man has led to the downfall of these experiments. But what is at the heart of the Spencer Mansion? What was Umbrella trying to make that led to all this misery? That would be the Tyrant. Before our final showdown, it is revealed that a certain member of STARS is an undercover operative from Umbrella. And maybe it's the fucker in the sunnies! He has even been blackmailing Barry to help him keep this all under wraps. That is all until—
He's the GOAT for a reason!
As we make our escape, we save Chris, who has been held captive in the underground labs. And before we can get to the helicopter, we need to defeat the Tyrant. And there is only one way we can do it. Our heroes have managed to escape, killing the Tyrant and leaving the facility before it could self-destruct. Resident Evil created a boom for the survival horror genre, and I see why. A great setting with memorable enemies to face off against, added tension with the inventory management, and honestly, I find the really bad voice acting kinda charming all these years later. I mean, they did FMV, how can you not love it? And with the game being a smash success for Capcom, the sequel was inevitable. Production started immediately on a follow-up. This time in the director's chair was Hideki Kamiya, who is a system planner on the original.
What the fuck is a system planner? Shinji, help me!
The game's setting has shifted from the mystery of the Spencer Mansion in the Arklay Mountains to a full-on zombie outbreak in Raccoon City, mostly taking place in the Raccoon City Police Department. 2 playable characters, just like the first game. One being Leon S. Kennedy, a veteran police officer, and Elza Walker, a college student who is caught up in everything, and what's that? This version of the game got scrapped mid-development, and the team had to rebuild the game from scratch in just 8 months. You know, that sounds very familiar to another game.
You thought I forgot. You thought I forgot about fucking Bungie being plagiarists, and you thought it started with Marathon. Well, it started with Halo 2. They ripped off the development cycle of Resident Evil 2. Golden Era Bungie is a lie. You're all being lied to.
By the way, if you want to play this version of the game, check out the Resident Evil 1.5 prototype that was leaked back in 2012. It's not as good as what I'm about to talk about. So the new version of Resident Evil 2 kept the same basic idea, but changed a lot of the workings, the structure, and the overall story. This was thanks to Capcom hiring screenwriter Noboru Sujimura, who was actually a huge fan of the first game and jumped at the opportunity to work on this highly anticipated sequel. Leon S. Kennedy remained in the game, but they changed him to a rookie, and the events of the game take place on his first day of the job. Elza was scrapped completely and replaced with Claire Redfield, sister to Chris from the first game, and provides some connection between the two, aside from, ooh, zombies! In this game, both characters have the same number of inventory slots as each other, and I went with Claire to start off. More on Leon later.
Guy's a maniac. Why'd he bite me?
As we can see, no more live-action FMVs, instead we get these CG cutscenes, and this immediately shows the jump in budget compared to the first game. But it still keeps the cheesy tone, a more deliberate choice this time around. The outbreak has begun and Chris and Leon link up to get to the safest place possible, the RPD. But along the way, things go wrong.
Head to the station. I'll meet you there.
Okay.
Claire is now split up from Leon, and we must make our way through the alleys of Raccoon City. And it feels like there are more zombies in this small section than the entirety of the first game. You honestly don't have any time to think, you just have to avoid them as best you can, and make it to the safety of the police station. Except it isn't safe, because the RPD is another zombie and puzzle-filled escape room made by the definitely super evil Corporation Umbrella, and now we're stuck here! The game basically follows the same formula as the first. Meticulously make your way through the police station, unlocking every door and solving every puzzle, and either avoiding or dealing with every zombie you come across. And overall, the game feels like it has taken some lessons from the first. For example, now when you find a locked door, on your map the door will be given a color, like red or blue or green.
I know I said one of the colors wrong. I was just making sure you were watching.
So later on when you find a red key, if you have tried every locked door possible, it is pretty easy to find where you need to go. Just go to every red door on your map. Overall, a nice improvement from the first. But what about the enemies? Surely we'll have some variety outside of regular zombies and dogs, and I wonder if the game has anything that can top the hunters from the first game, a great addition in the final third that I forgot to mention earlier. I wonder if... did you guys see that? That was a little freaky. Well, whatever it was, we practically just started, so it probably won't reappear until much later. These are the lickers, and they will fucking kill you. The police station is a great location and setting. Much like the Spencer Mansion from the original, you have this uncanny feeling. Why does the police station have a bunch of creepy statues and paintings all over the place? Why is there a taxidermy room where the cops live? Well, that is answered by RE2's cast, which has a much bigger focus in this game, and is far more fleshed out than anyone expected. Take the first character you meet, Marvin Branner, a police officer who unfortunately, from the moment you meet him, isn't long for this world. You have Chief Irons, who has been helping Umbrella conduct their experiments, sidelining any potential investigations made about Umbrella. And who knows, maybe like Barry, he is being blackmailed and can have a change of mind now that the city is falling apart.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I thought you were another one of those zombies.
He's fucked up, he murdered her, and he made the taxidermy room!
Luckily, he has a very painful death.
My chest can't take the pain!
For most of the game, however, Claire will be looking after Sherry Birkin, a young girl who is looking for her parents that have gone missing since the outbreak started. Claire and Sherry make their way through the police department, underneath the city through the sewers in which we encounter a giant croc. We finally make it to the connecting underground lab run by Umbrella. We discover that Sherry's parents work for the evil corporation, and her father, William Birkin, is actually the creator of the new and improved T-virus. And due to an accident that was caused by...
Doctor, we're here to collect the G-virus sample.
Sorry, but I won't just hand over my life's work.
Stop! You might hit the sample.
Why is it always the guns?
Birkin has mutated into a horrific monster, resembling something from The Thing, and for my money, this is one of the most iconic creature designs in the series. With the giant eye bursting from its shoulder, it's just so memorable. After defeating Birkin, Claire and Sherry escape from the lab via the underground train, and we run into Leon. That's strange, we didn't have to save him from being imprisoned or anything. I wonder what he was up to. So in this sequel, there is actually a reason to do a playthrough as both characters. The game was released on 2 discs, one for Claire and one for Leon. And depending on which disc you put in first, that will be route A and the other will be route B. So for instance, I have done Claire A and Leon B. But if you do it the other way around, it's Leon A and Claire B. And it's basically a different game, so, you know, replayability! Route B has a different flow to the first. Yes, you'll be going through the same locations, but in a different order, always feeling like you're one step behind Claire and have to find ways to catch up. The main difference of this route is that you'll be dealing with an entirely different boss character hunting you throughout the police station. This is the Tyrant, sent in by Umbrella to try and clean up the mess in the police department. Unlike the encounters with Birkin, which feel very
Oh my god! This is a fucking boss fight or some shit! Jesus fuck!
The Tyrant feels like he can show up anywhere, busting through walls while in the middle of a puzzle. It makes retracing your steps through the RPD more nerve-wracking, unsure of whenever he might appear. And though these encounters are pre-scripted, which makes it less scary on replays, I still get a jolt every time he shows up.
In the RE2 novelization, this guy's name was Mr. X. That's a much cooler name!
Leon will not go through the RPD alone, as he will be accompanied by Ada Wong, a mysterious woman who may or may not have some connections to what is going on, as we have seen her name before in some files in the first game. Leon and Ada definitely start to form a connection through this journey, and even though she doesn't really let Leon know what is going on, she clearly cares for him, ultimately sacrificing herself to help Leon take out Mr. X.
Here, use this!
Game over.
With the facility about to explode, Leon, Claire, and Sherry get off the train. Both sides of the story have been told and it's time to leave.
So, it's finally over. Sherry, you look terrible.
No worse than you, Claire.
Come on, time to leave.
Now? What's wrong? Is something following us?
We have to go. We don't have any time to waste.
Go? Where?
Hey, it's up to us to take out Umbrella.
This game took what was great about the first and ramped it up, gave it more production value, more suspense, more personality, feeling less like a cheesy, low-budget B-movie and more of a 90s blockbuster. And to me, it is the definitive, bigger and better sequel. The environments feel more realised, the characters feel more fleshed out, we have not one but two great stalker antagonists in Birkin and Mr. X, and honestly, I knew this game was legendary at this moment.
Alright, just gonna keep going here, see what's in the next room. Okay. Wait, what the fuck? They're in here too? They're in the fucking load screens? This is such bullshit! Oh my...
But the question is, how did the game do? Did it fade into obscurity, or was it able to overcome and be even more successful than the first game? And did Capcom's plan to make horror a genre in video games pan out?
It worked!
Resident Evil 2 was a huge success, going on to become the 12th highest selling PS1 game of all time, leading to Capcom greenlighting multiple RE projects for a number of different platforms. We had a spin-off game called Nemesis, aimed at a more hardcore audience for the PS1, a product being made for the Dreamcast after a failed port of RE2 to the Sega Saturn. We had a prequel for the series being made on the Nintendo 64, and Resident Evil 3 was being made by Hideki Kamiya on the brand new PlayStation 2. What's that? Capcom wanted the next numbered entry to be on the PS1 since it was the highest selling console at the time? Chuck a 3 on that shit, I guess. This time, directing duties were handed over to Kazuhiro Aoyama, who was an event designer on RE1 and a system planner on RE2. And this game follows the returning Jill Valentine as she's trying to escape Raccoon City right as the outbreak starts. Unlike the previous games, where it feels like you have stumbled upon the aftermath of a horrific sight, from the get-go you feel like you're at ground zero, constantly running into and trying to avoid zombies on every street corner. Unlike the previous games, which both have set locations, in this game you will explore the entirety of Raccoon City, no longer feeling like an escape room. Instead, you are simply trying to get out of the city, going through downtown areas, the back streets, hospitals, parks, hell, you even get to visit the RPD at one point. It is a much larger game than any of the previous. You will occasionally do some backtracking, but it'll be for more practical reasons, like, we need to take the tram to get out of here, it has no battery, find the battery, take the tram, stuff like that. Throughout the game, you will also have these...
Wait, you get to make choices in this game? Is this shit an RPG?
Basically, in these moments, you will only have 10 seconds to decide what to do, and this can affect the places you will visit and lead to some gameplay advantages or disadvantages depending on which you choose. These choices also allow the game to have multiple endings, so, you know, replayability! So in a way, RE3 has lost some of the identity that made 1 and 2 feel so special. You don't really get the haunted house vibe. This is a lot more of a race against time, especially when you find out midway through that a nuke is being sent to Raccoon City. But something else is on the player's mind. The main threat they will face. It will hunt them. It is borderline unstoppable. And it is the name on the fucking box.
Jill!
Brad!
We've gotta... Jill! Help!
No!
This is Nemesis, and all you know is that he wants to kill every STARS team member. So as long as Jill is alive, he will not stop. Much like Mr. X, there will be pre-scripted moments when he arrives to try and end you. But the scariest thing is that he can literally show up anywhere at any time. It really makes your trek through the city 10 times scarier when he can just show up, and he is fast. This is the unique thing that makes RE3 stand out. In the one section you don't play as Jill, I was able to relax since I knew he wasn't going to show up and try and kill me.
Oh yeah, this is Carlos, and since he literally never shows up again in the franchise, I'm just gonna not talk about him, okay?
It feels like the ideas the team had behind Mr. X were able to be fully realized here, and it's created another iconic antagonist for the series. Resident Evil 3 in a lot of ways feels like the end of an era. The final mainline game made for the PS1, going out with Jill on this badass adventure. And I will say you can definitely feel that this game started out as a side project, as the only section that feels like classic RE is the clock tower.
They probably had to add in this section when they found out they were getting 3'd or whatever.
But I do still really enjoy this game. Definitely a more action-oriented approach than the previous, but it was a nice change of pace, all things considered. And reaching the end of this game and finally taking out Nemesis after being hunted the whole game felt so satisfying.
You want stars? I'll give you stars.
The only thing left is to escape the city, and luckily for Jill, she is saved by an old friend.
Thanks, you saved us.
I couldn't let you die.
Is it you?
Are you ready to finish this?
It's Barry. We love Barry. I don't know why a remake would remove this scene, but fuck it, whatever, it's not my problem.
We fly away as Raccoon City burns below, and it is time for Resident Evil to move into the next generation. Hiroki Kato was the director this time, previously doing work on RE1 and its director's cut re-release. This was the first game in the series to be made on 6th generation hardware, being made for the Dreamcast and later ported to the PS2, which is the version I played. Set 3 months after Resident Evil 2, Claire is searching for her brother Chris and has ended up at Rockford Island, a prison run by Umbrella. Claire must make her escape as there has been another zombie outbreak. Now this game makes a lot of advancements using the new possibilities of the hardware at the time, but for every step forward this game makes, it also feels like it's taken a few steps back. Let me explain. So as you can see, the game no longer uses pre-rendered backgrounds, occasionally being able to move the camera, and it definitely adds to some really beautiful looking shots. And understanding that this game released a mere 5 months after Resident Evil 3, the step up is clear to see, with the characters actually looking like people.
Lads, it was 2000. This looked like a fucking person at the time, okay?
This game looks very Dreamcast, and that is certainly a vibe. This game feels like something that simply couldn't be achieved on the PS1, even having some dynamic lighting with the use of the lighter, which Claire can use at any time. And I want to say that the main problem I have with the game's look isn't due to it being dated graphically. My main problem is the way that you interact with that environment. So much like RE1 and 2, Code Veronica is a return to that puzzle-like escape room design, slowly and meticulously unlocking your way through the prison. And that is great. Aside from the fact that I find most of this game's environments are the least memorable from any of the previous games, mostly going through dark hallways that at a certain point blend into one, which is hard when you need to backtrack and have a moment of, wait, which dark hallway leads to the painting room? Another consequence of ditching the pre-rendered backgrounds is knowing what is actually interactable. Back on the PS1, it was clear what you could and couldn't interact with due to what was rendered and what wasn't. In this game, you just have to vaguely guess what can and can't be picked up, which led to me being stuck in this fucking room for 15 minutes, not knowing I could pick up anything, and like, it shouldn't be this hard. This is the future of gaming. What's going on? The game is also too long. When Claire finally escapes Rockford Island by plane, it really feels like the game is wrapping up. Only to realize that this is the halfway mark, and I haven't gotten to the Antarctic base yet, and I haven't even played as Chris yet, and why is this game so long? Now, I do want to say that despite this game being honestly quite messy, there is some great things about it, like this gothic castle on the hill that looks sick! I kind of wish the whole game took place in this environment. It feels so well realized and gives that perfect haunted house vibe that Resident Evil games do so well, and it's a shame you don't stay here longer. I will say the Nosferatu fight is great. It's challenging having to try and fight him through the blizzard, but again, this is using the new hardware to do something that couldn't be done before. Also, his design is just great. And when this game brings the cheese, it's so good.
Redfield! How dare you interfere with my operation?
What are you talking about?
You let yourself be captured so you could lead your people to this base!
I have no idea what you're babbling about.
Also, Wesker is alive. And he fucking jumps!
Unfortunately, this game features the worst character in the history of Resident Evil. And honestly, this is also some of the worst voice acting in the series. This is Steve Burnside. And, well, take it away, Steve.
Wait! I can't! No! Father!
Alright, Steve, that's enough. Steve, he's fucking dead. Steve, you don't have to shoot anymore, Steve!
Now, Resident Evil isn't a stranger to atrocious voice acting, but unlike the original game, which was the first time Capcom had tried anything like this is the 4th game in the series. That was one of the most successful in its era, a AAA blockbuster. And the worst thing is that this game thinks he is a really deep character, and he isn't. He is a forced romantic interest that is poorly realized, and honestly, sucks.
Your brother kept his promise. I'm sorry, I cannot.
Metal Gear Solid 1 was like 2 years before this game. How is the voice acting this fucking bad, Steven?
And much like this game, I respect the attempt that Capcom made to take Resident Evil into the next generation. I just think it missed a few steps in that transition, focusing on cutting-edge graphics and film-like cutscenes instead of making a solid survival horror adventure that it should be.
Until we meet again.
But what about the next game by Hideki Kamiya? Originally Resident Evil 3, but now retitled Resident Evil 4, being made for the PS2. Well, this was a very different approach to the franchise. Instead of being a survival horror game, it was going to be a stylish action game, using a sword and fighting through a gothic castle. And what's that? Shinji Mikami thought that this game strayed too far from the horror aspect of Resident Evil and decided to restart Resident Evil 4 with a different team? Well, if you like the sound of that game, you should play Devil May Cry! With development starting over for Resident Evil 4, Capcom also moved development over to the Nintendo GameCube, and announcing that for the foreseeable future, Resident Evil was going to be an exclusive franchise for the system.
So, apparently, the initial deal that they made was with Microsoft, and Shinji met up with the executives at the time and asked them a simple question. Hey, why do you, Microsoft, want to make video games? And apparently they couldn't fucking respond, and it's just like, why the fuck do you want to make a console then?
Slowly, previous Resident Evil games got ported to the GameCube, excluding the original, as Shinji Mikami felt it hadn't aged as well as the others, which led to him directing a remake of the original game he had made. And I don't think anyone expected what we got. I hope in this section I can properly get across how great this game is. I want to start off by saying that this and this were only 6 years apart.
Wait, what? This released on the GameCube? Why does it look so fucking good?
Resident Evil Remake still looks great today, and I think it's due to one thing: going back to pre-rendered backgrounds. Yes, what you are looking at are high-quality 2D JPEGs, and I do not have a problem with that. This really allows the environment to shine, unlike any other, and they still look good. You could easily convince someone that this game released this year and not fucking 23 years ago! Not only is this game a visual improvement, it has also remixed some things from the original. Some areas have been swapped around, some puzzles have different answers, and it is even— Huh. That's weird. A dog normally jumps through. Oh well, whatever. The game also features a new mechanic of burning bodies, which is strange, and I don't know— Oh my god! This is a Crimson Head. When you take down a zombie, if you don't get a perfect headshot or set them on fire when they are down, they will reawaken as a faster and more deadly Crimson Head that will severely fuck you up. God, I hope the game doesn't throw me any more curveballs. Oh god, not the dogs again! The thing that makes this game great is that it is also designed to mess with returning players of the original. Despite being the same game, they are kind of different, and you feel this the most with the addition of the new pursuer enemy, Lisa Trevor, a literal invincible enemy that you can't kill. Her added area leading to her home is one of the most memorable in the game, and uncovering her backstory and finding out that she has one of the most tragic backstories in the franchise. Resident Evil Remake, in my opinion, is the greatest classic survival horror game of all time, and is the one to try. I know that it can be intimidating, but I truly believe that once this game clicks with you, it is unlike anything else. I remember showing a friend of mine who had never played an older horror game before, and the moment they died and lost 40 minutes of progress because they didn't know they had to manually save led to the most intense death stare I have ever gotten, and it was fucking great. But seeing them learn the game's mechanics, understand them, and genuinely be scared at some points, it made me realize that this remake is the gatekeeper to this classic style of horror game. Resident Evil Remake, you are one of a kind, and I'm glad you exist. Do I really have to talk about Resident Evil 0 now?
I don't like this game. I think it's kind of shit.
For real though, this game just feels off. And I won't sugarcoat it, I won't parade around it. It is due to a major mechanical misunderstanding of what Resident Evil is. So remember the item box? That thing that I mentioned in the first game and haven't mentioned since because they continue to use this mechanic. Because you know,
if it ain't fucking broke, don't try to fucking fix it, yeah?
Well, Resident Evil 0 gets rid of this mechanic. Instead, if you don't want an item anymore, you simply just drop it on the ground. And while this might not seem like a huge issue when you start the game,
because you're on a train, it's a straight fucking line. If you lose something, it's not that hard to fucking backtrack to find it again!
The problem starts when you leave the train and enter these very RE escape room-like mansions, and have to go, wait, I need the hookshot? Where the fuck did I leave that? And then you have to backtrack again and again and again. It just becomes a tedious, boring mess that made me not really care about anything because I was constantly in awe as to how this game managed to fuck up the basic conventions of Resident Evil game. And I might have the answer. Production Studio 4, an internal Capcom studio ran by Shinji Mikami, was actually too busy to develop this game after it moved from the Nintendo 64 to the GameCube due to...
Now I know you only see 4 games here, but what if I told you they were working on 5?
So development of this game shifted over to Production Studio 3, so maybe not having the shepherds of the franchise be involved led to this miscalculation. Maybe the team was trying to do something different. The idea of having 2 playable characters is neat and like, I don't know, Birkin and Wesker are in it, but at the end of the day, I don't really care. And I'll probably never play this again. So now, all that was left is Resident Evil 4, and the game was looking to shift the core gameplay style of Resident Evil. At E3 2003, we saw a very different approach, showing Leon fighting ghosts in a haunted castle. This would go on to be known as the Hookman demo, and was leaning more towards psychological horror, trying to compete with Silent Hill. Apparently half the game would feature Leon fighting ghosts, while the other would feature a young girl accompanied by a dog, trying to make it through this haunted place. What's that? They decided to restart development again after Mikami thought this horror focus was more of the same and wanted to go in a more action direction? Isn't that why we stopped the last version? Okay, whatever. Anyway, if you like the sound of that version, you should play Haunting Ground! Resident Evil 4's development was troubled, to say the least, being restarted multiple times, trying to find a new angle on horror, and this had been going on for 5 years, and things weren't looking bright for this long-awaited game. Shinji Mikami returned as director, knowing that this game had to succeed, and change the perception in the eyes of the public, as Resident Evil had gotten a little stale over the years. Mikami knew he had to change Resident Evil, but I don't think anyone could predict that Resident Evil 4 would change video games forever.
I received special training via a secret organization working under the direct control of the president. I was to assume the responsibility of protecting the new president's family. Where's everyone going? Bingo?